Coming up on This Week in Space, there's a new executive order all about space superiority. SpaceX has a Starlink satellite falling out of the sky, and it's been a long year in space, and Rod and I are going to talk about our favorite stories. Is yours on the list? Check it out.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is This Week in Space, episode number 190, recorded on December 19th, 2025. Holiday Special 2025. Ho, ho, ho! Welcome to This Week in Space, the Holiday Special Edition.
Oh, you got jingle bells.
Jingle bells. I got your jingle bells here, pal. I'm Rod Pyle, editor-in-chief, Badass Magazine. I'm here with my favorite Christmas elf, or is it holiday elf, Tarek Malik, the slightly ailing editor-in-chief of Space.com. How are you, brother?
I'm doing okay, right? I was gonna say well, but I'm not. You can see here by the sound of my voice that I picked up some microbes on a recent trip to the space
because
coast,
you went to Florida, where all good germs go to vacation and spawn. Yeah.
Apparently,
Well,
I had a good time though.
Sorry about that. Oh yeah, so you are you able to talk about what you were doing there?
Oh yeah. You know, we're getting ready for Artemis 2, the moon mission. So I was down there doing some research for the mission for a project. Hopefully, people will see later on.
Very important. Some research.
Yeah. So I also got, there's a bonus. I put some notes in line 27, 28, John. There's as I was leaving Florida, SpaceX gave me like a little present there. So
your perks.
Yeah.
So I just want to point out that you're sitting there in a light sweater, which is all very appropriate. I'm sitting here in what's supposed to be a Christmas smock, according to Amazon, although it doesn't really look like one, with a muffler and all this stuff, and it's 80 freaking degrees outside because it's Southern California.
Hey, look! It has the hat. You said that it was missing an eye, but my hat, it's got the eye. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Oh, now you look just as ridiculous as you did a minute ago.
It's like deflated. I don't know what the deal is.
All right. Well, speaking of deflation, let's move on to the show. This is our annual holiday special where we start by diving into current space news and then go to the accomplishments of 2025 and maybe a sneak peek at 26. And, of course, a juicy holiday space joke. So bear with us. Before we begin, however, please don't forget to do us a solid. Make sure to like, subscribe, and whatever else you do for podcasts to let the world know how much you love them. And now, it's joke time.
Joke, yes. Is it from somebody?
And now, it's joke time. John Ash is looking at me like, what? Did we used to have a cue for that? Yes, we did. Da-da-da-da. Okay, a space joke. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to worry about it. Let's talk about this right now. There's a theme music for the space joke. I have the theme music for headline news.
No, I give you like 3 stings for a space joke.
I thought that was the laughter.
That was the laugh track you gave me.
No, there's a kind of thing. Anyway, I just did it, so let's move on. For regular humorist Tucker Drake, friend of the show, who hosts the Atheist in the Trailer Park podcast.
Oh, wow.
It may not be fitting for holiday time, but here we go.
Which one are we? Which one's the Atheist? Which one's the Trailer Park? I don't know.
Wow, I could kind of claim both those titles in a rightful sense, but thanks for pointing that out. Hey, Tarek.
Yes, Rod.
Did you hear about the new Star Trek Christmas movie?
No, I didn't. Tell me about it.
It's called The Wreath of Khan.
I get it. Well.
That's what we call a polite laugh. All right, well.
I love it, though.
I've heard that some people want to shove charcoal briquettes in our stockings when it's joke time of this show, but you can help by sending your best, worst, or most different space joke to us at twist@twit.tv. That's your New Year's resolution, so don't break it. And now, onward to headline news.
Boom. Headline news. I'll get it one day.
You've gotten it a bunch of times. And now you've gotten something else. So, golly, a new executive order from the executive office.
This is like hot off the presses, by the way, too. This is
kind of in the please give me a break department. Not politically, just in terms of expectations. So, the executive order goes something like this. I paraphrase slightly. Hey, Jared, Welcome to NASA. Figure out how to fix Artemis for 2028, get nukes on the moon by 2030, call out any underperformers or late programs, increase investment in commercial launch by $50 billion by 28. And by the way, you have 90 days to get back to me. Get with it. Now, in my world, that's asking a lot from a decimated NASA that barely knows what's happening next week versus 2028 these days.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm being harsh.
Well, I mean, at least there's like a plan. This was interesting because it came out like literally last night is when it came out.
So a day after he was confirmed.
Yeah, well, it was his first day at the office. In fact,
Right.
I've got a fun little clip on line 30 floor if we're able to see it. It's a Twitter embed, John. But that's when we're going to talk about Mr. Isaacman himself. And so essentially this was and I'm going to make sure I get it correctly. This is the Ensuring American Space Superiority Executive Order. And it really touched on not just NASA stuff, but also military space things to solidify kind of a lot of things that were already out there. Like you mentioned, Rod, there's a lot of talk about getting to the moon by 2028 and positioning the United States for being able to get people to Mars. Somewhat general, like there wasn't like a take SpaceX's Starship to the moon kind of a thing. It was just get there by 2028 and increase robust commercial spaceflight and lower costs, etc. Like the stuff that that they want to do anyway. There was a commitment to have a replacement for the space station by 2030, acknowledging that it's supposed to be retired by 2030, so not to have a gap over that time of having a destination in space. And then there was a lot about ensuring U.S. superiority on the military front, not just in orbit, but like missile defense with the Golden Dome, saying that we're going to have, they called it the Iron Dome for America. They didn't say Golden Dome, which was strange because like that was his big spiel, but it says a comprehensive missile defense shield, and then in parentheses it says like the Iron Dome for America.
Oh, okay. So they're likening it to Israel's.
Yeah. So, but like Trump has said, we're going to call it the Golden Dome. I don't know why they didn't just call it that in the executive order.
Maybe they think it's silly.
I don't know. But there's also a lot of discussions about making sure that U.S. satellites are protected from weapons in orbit, from low Earth orbit, all the way through, and I quote, it says cislunar space. So it is now a presidential order to, I guess, take the high ground in cislunar space in order to secure that against our adversaries, I suppose. But a lot of what was there was stuff that was already there. It was just not all acknowledged overall. So this is really okay, Jared is coming to work. Here's what we're going to do. Also, Isaacman was in the office when he signed this executive order. There's pictures of it online. So
that means it really happened.
Yeah, well, it means that it wasn't like they were trying to sneak it by.
Right.
Like one more thing, like all of the layoffs and closures and mission cancellations that have all been going on in the last 6 months since his first go around when he was just about to be confirmed back in June or May was that before they pulled the rug out from under him. So now there's this order. It's going to be up to Jared to pursue it for NASA's role and to work with his partners in the Space Force and the Department of War, I suppose. To coordinate all of that. So
I actually saw it's been official for a while, but you keep seeing it referred to still as Department of Defense. But I saw an official reference yesterday. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War in the Department of War. So welcome back to 1938.
But I think I think Congress has to pass a resolution because I think only Congress can rename the branches, right? That's what I was reading.
We still have a Congress? Okay.
Well,
do we want to try, John, do we want to get one more story before the break or run to the break?
Let's run to the break.
Okay. Hey, everybody, let's go to a break. We'll be right back for our holiday special, Go Nowhere.
Hey, everybody, Leo Laporte here with a little bit of an ask. Every year at this time, we'd like to survey our audience to find a little bit more about you. As you may know, we respect your privacy. We don't do anything. In fact, we can't do anything to learn about who you are. And that's fine with me. I like that. But it helps us with advertising. It helps us with programming to know a little bit about those of you who are willing to tell us. Your privacy is absolutely respected. We do get your email address, but that's just in case there's an issue. We don't share that with anybody. What we do share is the aggregate information that we get from these surveys. Things like 80% of our audience buys something they heard in an ad on our shows, or 75% of our audience are IT decision makers. Things like that are very helpful with us when we talk to advertisers. They're also very helpful to us to understand what operating systems you use, what content you're interested in. So, enough. Let me just ask you, if you will, go to twit.tv/survey26 and answer a few questions. It should only take you a few minutes of your time. We do this every year. It's very helpful to us. Your privacy is assured, I promise you. And of course, if you're uncomfortable with any question or you don't want to do it at all, that's fine too. But if you want to help us out a little bit, twit.tv/survey26. Thank you so much. And now, back to the show.
And we're back to talk about Interstellar Comet 3i Atlas. So, it was coming. It was hearing. It's gawning now.
Yeah, this was going to be on one of my rundowns for like the year, like the big stories.
Yeah,
we'll just put it here because today's the day. Today was the closest approach of Comet 3i Atlas.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great recreation, Rod. And you'll be happy to know that our live stream was rained out. So we spent like the last 3 days getting people all excited about watching the live stream to see it through a telescope.
And were you channeling SLU or which one?
No, the Virtual Telescope project out in Italy, Ticino.
Oh my God!
Italy.
So you pitched it and pitched it and pushed it and pushed it, and then clouds.
Luckily, we had other things that we were giving people, like a lot of other stories and stuff like that.
See, if this was the Apollo era back in the 60s and 70s, you would have cut to a simulation with strings and spaceships dangling around. But I guess
yeah, I would love it. I'm sure I could make one out of foil or something in some dry ice. That would have worked out pretty well.
Well, Twit's done it before.
But,
we could have tried.
So this comet is here. It's been its closest approach. I think it was like within 168 million miles of Earth. At its close, about 180 something. It was all just about two AUs, 1.8 AUs away.
Right.
So at its closest approach, and now
AU is an astronomical unit, which is distant from the Earth to the Sun, which is 83 million miles.
Is it 83? 92? 90?
Maybe it's 93 million miles.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a bunch.
It's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
So, and so I mentioned it because this was kind of like our comet of the year. There were many, but this was the one that really kind of captured people's hearts, largely because there was a whole big like subtext and meme online about, is it a spaceship or is it not a spaceship? So
9.3 million miles. I was right. Okay, go ahead.
Wow, so then it's actually more than one. It's a lot of million miles. It's more than that.
Yeah.
The 9.3. Are you sure it's not 93 million miles?
Right.
9.3.
Sorry, 93 million miles.
Okay, I was going to say that seems really close. But even at my holiday party, someone asked me, "Is it really a spaceship?" You know, Kim Kardashian asked Sean Duffy, the acting NASA chief at the time, what was the deal with the comet. So
one of the intellectual giants of our time.
What I'm saying is that this comet had reach, right? It wasn't just for the astronomers and the eggheads and the boffins, if you will. This was for the masses. We actually have a story by Brett Tingley on the site actually right now about how it got so viral and meme-ical, and apparently. Well, it was because the closest approach and all of the pictures were all taken during the shutdown, and no one was getting an official word from the government. The timing really played into it.
Because Avi Loeb is a madman. I mean, you know, I've been trying to dial it back because he's a serious scientist. I respect him. As I've mentioned before, you know, we corresponded briefly in the mid 2010s over a story I was working on that he had a big part in at Caltech. But he's just gone off the diving board. And, you know, I thought, okay, Oumuamua, this is a new thing. It's our first confirmed interstellar object. So it kind of makes sense to start, you know, pulling the taffy a bit in terms of your science.
Oumuamua was one eye back in 2017. That's right. Right.
And then Borisov in 2019. Okay, this is the second one. It's kind of weird that he's still pushing it after Oumuamua turned out to be just a rock. in everybody's opinion but his. But okay. But this time, I thought, and the first press release I saw, he had dialed it down a bit. Well, we should at least consider the possibility. And I thought, okay, good. You figured that out. No. He gets on podcasts. I think he was on Rogan. I forget which one I saw him on, but after the first 10 minutes talking about, hey, I'm on a NASCAR team's car hood, and they let me drive the car, and they said I was the best driver. It was sounding kind of like an executive that we all know and love. And talking about his Netflix special and all this stuff. And then he finally got to talking about the comet. It's like, well, science just doesn't have any common sense, and people have, oh boy. So he went on the attack. And I thought, dude, it's not classy to attack your fellow scientists just because they're pushing back in your pet theory, which for anybody who could possibly not know at this time is these interstellar objects, the rocks, are possibly icy nuclei, are possibly alien spaceships here to spy on us. And it's on the perfect trajectory to drop off mini probes behind the sun, and on and on and on. It's like, A, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Thank you, Carl Sagan. And B, Occam's razor, right? The simplest answer is it's a freaking rock with some ice on it. And the reason that you see little gas jets coming from it is because the ice melts when it's nearer the sun and it gets the farts. But instead,
it gets the farts.
It gets comet farts. But instead, we get this really. So I'm sorry, I'm ranting a bit, but I'm.
You are. Tell me. No, Ron, come on. Tell me how you really feel.
What I really feel. I know. I'm just stunned that he's still going there, because it's got to be driving Harvard nuts. This is not their jam,
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you there. So
okay,
I'm probably gonna sneeze. Hold on.
Okay, here, I'll cover it.
No.
Sneeze now. Sneeze. Come on, get it done.
All right. Maybe next time. I'll mute myself next time. So
don't mute yourself. Let us share. All right. This, I'm kind of surprised you put this in. SpaceX Starlink falling out of space. I had to look it up. I mean, Starlink.
You had to look it up.
Well, Starlink satellites re-enter all the time, but this one's a little different because it's leaving some junk in orbit, right? Which is bad.
Well, they re-enter all the time when SpaceX, wants them to. They're not robust satellites. They only have like a 5-year mission.
I know, but a bunch of them have come back unscheduled too.
Well, but this one, they admit to losing contact with it, and I think that we got a lot of a heads up about this one, largely because there have been a lot more, not just news reports, because Space.com has been covering a lot of this. Teresa Poltarova out in the UK is really good at following a lot of the news for space debris tracking. But there have been a lot of reports, too, about close calls and whatnot. And there's so many more satellites. They've launched 3,000 of these satellites this year alone. Can you believe that? Wow. 3,000 this year. I think 130 of their launches were just for Starlink launches in 2025. So, but SpaceX came out in front of this one and said, hey, we've lost contact with one of our satellites before its 5-year mission was supposed to be over with. It experienced an anomaly that, quote unquote, led to venting of the propulsion tank, a rapid decay in its orbit, essentially, and the release of a small number of trackable low relative velocity objects. So,
which means orbital debris, right?
You got 3 things there. You've got anomaly, you've got venting of the propulsion tanks that came out of the anomaly, that is, changing its orbit, and you have the release of small particles. The thing exploded. It exploded in space, right. But they don't want to say it. The tank ruptured. It didn't.
And they didn't even say RUD, which would be their usual go-to.
Yeah,
right?
They could lean into it. Well, they can't, because that's really funny and cute and haha when it's the world's biggest rocket that is financed by the world's richest man, and it's still in a testing phase, and there's no consequences except that they have to spend a bunch of billions more dollars on the next one.
And when you're not on the cusp of perhaps trying to announce that you're going public. Yeah, which just means it's time to get serious.
That's what I was gonna say. But it's a whole other story when like you say, you're on the cusp of going public, where people really need to have a sense of dependability and reliability in the product. Right. That you're not just throwing stuff up and then having it fall out of space. But also, Starlink is one of the cornerstone business markets right now of SpaceX, because they're making a lot of money through these internet satellites. as well as a way of funding like all of the other stuff that they're doing. And if they start losing those satellites in an unexpected way that's creating debris in these orbits that are packed with other Starlink satellites, it's a problem for them. And so they want to make sure that they get in front of a lot of this and take as much control as they can of it. So we'll see though. It's supposed to come down probably for Christmas. You'll have a Starlink re-enter for Christmas. So
well, that'd be something, especially if it re-entered on my big fat head.
Yeah.
Speaking of such things, going
Speaking
the
of
opposite
such
direction,
things.
you saw a rocket launch.
I
Woo!
did. I actually, can you believe that in 24 years of covering the space program for space.com, I have never once gone to the beach in Florida?
Yeah, but this wasn't your first launch, was it?
No. Well, no, I've seen many, many launches. It was actually, I think I saw a Starlink launch in June, but I saw it from the hotel in Orlando, And so there was one, while I was in Florida this week, there was one here. We got this video. I was looking at the wrong launch pad, so I had to spin all the way over.
That's our news ace.
Yeah. But I went to Jetty Park, which costs $15 if you don't know, and I just headed on out there, and it was fun. It was fun to see a launch that way, where you're not actually working; you're just going to enjoy it. And there was a whole crowd of people on that pier.
Have you had to work for your special access at shuttle launches?
Well, no, you're not paying attention. You're absorbing it in like a different way, right?
Yeah.
In fact, if you go down one more line, John, there's like one more thing I wanted to share with them because it was something that I've never seen before, and so it's the next line, 28, and I was walking from the parking lot to the beach, and the shoreline in Jetty Park, when all of a sudden, just a barge with an old rocket stage was just driving on by with a spent SpaceX Falcon 9 stage ready to be reused. There it is. There's a view of it. And this is a pretty sooty fella. So this tells you that this is one that has been around the block a few times.
And I love that they don't scrub or paint them. It's just like, fly it again.
But I'd never seen that before. There's me at the beach, by the way, so that, pictures or it didn't happen. So.
Oh, God. You used to be able to drive down to San Pedro. You've been down to San Pedro when you were living here before, right?
Oh, like once or twice, I think.
So you go all the way to the bottom of Gaffey, and I mean all the way to where it goes past the marinas, and you go on past these old abandoned, I guess they were canneries or something, industrial buildings. And SpaceX had one time their port there for the recovery ships. It may still berth there. I'm not sure.
Weren't they going to build Starship there?
Well, and they had this enormous Tyvek tent. They were building, at that point, they were building the composite wrap tanks and testing them. And I thought, oh my God, they're going to build Starship here. And then, of course, they moved. But it was cool because occasionally you could see the barge come back with the booster. So that was pretty neat. But not anymore. All right. Speaking of not anymore, we ain't got no more time for this segment, but I do want to call out one thing before we go to the break. Yes, John. Stories of Space. So, friend of the show, an old pal to both of us, Beth Mund, who hosts the Casual Space podcast, also leads a project called Stories of Space. It has been sending digitized tales to the lunar surface and elsewhere. So far, she's sent digitized messages to suborbital flights and I think orbit. So this is, I believe, the 6th mission, working with Uplift Aerospace and Astrolab and the Flip rover. And your message can be one of them. If you go to the website at storiesofspace.com, hit participate, drop your submission into the box, and it's free. So what better Christmas gift can you give yourself or a loved one? Or maybe somebody you don't like? I don't know that they actually review these. And a selenite might read it someday, or a settler or something. So again, this ends on December 28th. Doesn't get any cooler than this. So storiesofspace.com. And speaking of the coolest thing ever, we'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. Leo Laporte here. You know what a great gift would be, whether for the holidays or at just any time, a birthday? A membership in Club Twit. If you have a Twit listener in your family, somebody who enjoys our programming, and you want to give them a nice gift and support what we do, visit twit.tv/clubtwit. They'll really appreciate it, and so will we. Thank you. Twit.tv/clubtwit.
Okay, we're back. So, big story of the day. Isaacman is in.
Yeah.
Following a Senate confirmation vote on December 17th, which, as of today, is 2 days ago, Jared Isaacman, our favorite private astronaut and space entrepreneur, is finally the new administrator of NASA, and not a day too soon. While we cheered one or two decisions made by Sean Duffy, we are cautiously optimistic for Isaacman's term. I think a few of us have some questions about the Project Athena plan, 62 pages. Now, this came out, it got a bit of a splash in the space media, and some people were worried, and I read through it and then ordered up a summary just to make sure I didn't miss something. I don't see anything particularly concerning there unless you really hate the SLS or really hate commercial space, because it's kind of spreading the butter across the toast. You know, it's a little bit of everything for everybody, including an emphasis on science, but it's strong on human spaceflight, strong on American space leadership, which, we're flirting with kissing that goodbye. Thank you, China. But he also called for a leaner NASA, if that's even possible at this point, which I don't particularly support because I think they've already gutted it pretty thoroughly, but did also call for increased calculated risk-taking, which I do support. I don't want to risk lives unnecessarily, but you can safety yourself into inaction. China's not going to do that. So if we're serious about meeting these challenges of the 21st century space, we don't need to do another Apollo 8, which was very risky, but we need probably to take Apollo 11 level chances.
Well, we should put it in perspective.
And within budget constraints, operating at 1/10 of NASA's 1960s budget. Okay.
There's a lot of, first of all, this is kind of like our big annual show. This is probably the best gift that NASA could have gotten for the end of the year, is actually to have someone at the wheel. And I think we talked a little bit about that at the start. But you're talking about Project Athena and how it's got some critics and it's got some whatnot. But take for a minute the time in which it was written. It was written before all of the gutting really took place. There were some layoffs between February and June when Isaacman was first being considered, but it wasn't like the wholesale cuts that we saw throughout the summer and into the fall. And so that's really important to say that this wasn't when he's saying leaner, he's talking about efficiency and whatnot. And does it mean some missions? And this came up in his second confirmation hearing at the Senate, where at least one senator, and I want to say it was Cantwell, had said that she was really concerned with that kind of language because, or perhaps it was Markey, actually, Ed Markey, because he had said in the first go around that he wasn't going to cancel anything or close any centers, and then this type of language in Project Athena suggests that maybe he would. I think that Isaacman is leaving his options open about what's the best way to try to fulfill not a mandate from the executive branch, but the goals that have been set to the agency right now, which is get to the moon by 2028 at least, and find the most efficient way to get there. I still would like to know where a lot of the missions that were slate for cancellation under the Trump budget are set, because they were all saved, or for the most part, with the congressional budgets, but we're still in the continuing resolution for that, and it's going to be that way until at least the end of January. So I think that there's still some uncertainty there about how much money they're going to get, and as we've learned from every single moon push that we've talked about over the last 20 years that we've known each other, that money is what's going to put it. Are they going to get the money or are they not? So they can tell Isaacman to do everything and the kitchen sink by 2028.
But you got to pay for it.
If you don't have a budget by the end of January and you just get continuing CRs over and over again that don't give you the money for this stuff, then we're never going to get there. So
do I have to say it?
Wait, what?
No bucks, no Buck Rogers.
There you go.
Just had to go there.
Isaacman knows this though. He's no
very dummy.
successful.
Although, I was talking to some people of certain influence yesterday who have concerns about Isaacman. And, I don't share those concerns. I do like the fact he's an entrepreneur. I hope he doesn't place undue what's the word I'm looking for? Reliance on private space, because honestly, I mean, SpaceX has done great. There's no denying that. Musk, love him or hate him or indifferent, he's revolutionized launch and access. Blue Origin's getting there. Beyond that, though, the smaller operators, as much as I laud their efforts, it hasn't been amazing yet. And so, we hope we learned a lesson with this SpaceX lunar lander, that you can't just assume they're going to do what they say they do because it doesn't always work out. So
yeah. In fact, but we do know a couple of things, because we're going into our holiday break, obviously. This week, one day after being confirmed, 67-30, by the way, that was the vote for Isaacman, his confirmation in the Senate. And then he reported to work yesterday as we're recording this, I believe. So he was there. And so, we've got this video that's playing now. He has a new Twitter or X NASA admin, so you can follow him and see all the things that he's doing. And here he is at work, and I think he has like a cheering applause as he walked into NASA headquarters on his first day to get like the rundown there. There's the NASA headquarters that we all know and love. They're not showing the metal detectors that you have to go through.
I actually haven't been inside the main headquarters. I've been to most of the field centers, but not headquarters. But of course you have.
Yeah,
I know. You were about to say,
yeah,
because you're special and you get all the goodies. All right. Artemis 2. Hey, look at the calendar. We're supposed to be doing a flyby, let's see, right about now.
Oh, we were supposed to be there in September, but then again in November, but then again now. Yeah.
At one point, didn't they say 24 as well?
Well, for Artemis 2, Artemis 2 was supposed to be back in like 2022, like the year after the 2023, after the first one, Artemis 1.
Mm.
And so, but we were supposed to be on the moon 2020, Rod, you know this, right? With Project Constellation.
Well,
with the moon base and all sorts of landers and sample returns and all that stuff. We didn't get any of it, because they didn't pay for it. So then they were aghast that there was a gap between.
I'm shocked
right?
to find gambling in this establishment.
That's right. So, but no, it's had its challenges. Now they, at least there's been a lot of progress this year. Now we are just past the 2-year mark, the 3-year mark of Artemis 1, 2022, if you can believe it, in November. So since then they've built the new stack. It's upright in the VAB. I did ask this week to go see it. NASA said no, but I understand why. And they've been doing tests. And in November, the crew got inside the Orion capsule. They couldn't close the hatch. There was apparently like a glitch, like a blemish on the hatch that they're looking into, but it's not supposed to, according to Reed Wiseman, the commander, be a showstopper for launch. And then we're going in to kind of like the end game. The window opens around the 5th or so of February, the first one, the 5th to the 10th of February, which means that rollout is coming probably after the new year. And I know that they're getting serious because I got you've been accredited for the media pass for the launch. So that means that the campaign is in earnest underway. And they might actually go for February. We could be around the moon by the next quarter, Rod. Could you believe it?
Yeah, I could believe it because I've seen it before. And I know Debbie Downer here, but in 1968 we orbited the moon for a day, and now we're going to do this. We're not really sure. Depends on the launch window. 4,000 to 9,000 mile run past the back and back to Earth, which is fine. It's it's a free return orbit. It's safe, but or free return trajectory, I should say. But it just feels a little. I don't know. It's a little bit of a fizzle to me, but I'm glad we're making progress. And here's to a landing with a lander that works soon. Let's see. We got 40 seconds. Okay. Let's go land on an ad, and we'll be right back. Stand by.
Hey everybody, it's Leo Laporte. Are you trying to keep up with the world of Microsoft? It's moving fast, but we have two of the best experts in the world, Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell. They join me every Wednesday to talk about the latest from Microsoft on Windows, weekly. It's not a lot more than just Windows. I hope you'll listen to the show every Wednesday. Easy enough. Just subscribe in your favorite podcast client to Windows Weekly or visit our website at twit.tv/WW. Microsoft's moving fast, but there's a way to stay ahead. That's Windows Weekly every Wednesday on Twit.
Mars sample return. Since we're returning, let's talk about returning things. What a long and sordid story. So just a little bit of backgrounder. Soviet Union, U.S., started thinking about Mars sample return in the 1960s, started talking seriously in the 1970s, but it was a lot of big rockets and a lot of what at the time was pretty primitive technology, and rightly, I think they said, this may be a bridge too far, and besides, golly gee, it's expensive, and we spent all our money on Apollo and or space stations. So it didn't happen. So we've been talking about it ever since. JPL is charged with doing it in the 21st century. Come to NASA with a statement saying, this is going to cost about $7 billion. And Bill Nelson, our glorious NASA administrator, gets a hold of that and holds a press conference saying, that's going to cost $11 billion. And they're just going, wait, where'd you get that number from? It was the top end of the range. And so that's the end of Mars sample return for now. Then, we'll talk to private industry and see what they can do. And in this case, at least, they're speaking to at least one legacy aerospace contractor that hasn't chomped it as bad as Boeing has. So, Tarek, where are we with this?
Well, we don't know, right?
Okay, on to the next story.
So here's the one of the shining lights this year is that at least people are talking about cheaper ways to get to Mars. So the juggernaut you're talking about is Lockheed Martin. They have what they think is a $3 billion plan to do a very simple Mars sample return. Lockheed Martin was kind of one of the forerunners too. I mean, they're the ones that had like the little missile that would like eject up like a tape cassette and then launch into space.
The ascent vehicle.
Yeah, really, it was really, really cool looking. But as you say, like the $3 billion is a very big drop from $11 billion that the independent review said it was going to cost that NASA didn't have. And like we keep talking about the budget, the initial Trump administration's budget for 2026 had Mars sample return in the crosshairs for cancellation. It's too expensive when we're going to send people there anyway, and they can do the sample return, right? That's kind of the gist of what that whole the whole thing was. Of course, it expects that you're going to be able to get people there faster than to get landers and sample stuff,
which is a bit silly, but okay.
Yeah, and so at least there's a robust discussion going on about how to do this more affordable and also take advantage of a lot of the leeway. I mean, we've had Jim Green on the show before, and he's kind of walked us through why they made those little sample canisters the way that they did on the Perseverance rover, so that at least the samples would be there. But of course, you got to send someone to go get them. And
like
SpaceX,
maybe China.
Well,
Sorry,
SpaceX, well, that was the point, right? Jim said that it was that anyone could go get them, not just like one agency. So SpaceX is making a play too. They've got their own plans for things. Of course, they've got their hands full with the Artemis moon lander that they have to deliver right now. But they're trying to keep on top of that. And also, I mean, you can't count out some of the smaller companies. Rocket Lab just launched their first mission to Mars with Escapade, and they are making a pretty serious play, from what I can tell, for the Mars Telecommunications Orbiter contract, which you would probably want to have if you were going to try to recover samples from the surface of the red planet. So I think that given that kind of involvement now, and not saying that only NASA has to do it and be like the shepherd, I think we will probably get there. We got there with Commercial Crew. We could probably get there with a Mars sample return.
I hope so.
As long as it's not canceled after this continuing resolution ends.
And let's bear in mind we got there with Commercial Crew solely because of SpaceX, certainly not because of Boeing.
Can we talk about that real quick?
One of the most shaming failures in modern aerospace that I can remember. Yeah, please.
Let's talk about like the whole like SpaceX thing, because I was in Florida this week in the Gateway Hall.
You were?
At the Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex, yeah. And that's where you can see a SpaceX Falcon Heavy booster. You can see a Dragon like an early Dragon cargo ship. You can see a Starliner cargo ship, a Starliner capsule, the Orion EFT-1 capsule, and a Blue Origin New Shepard. So you see all of these commercial things. There's also even a Sierra Nevada Dream Chaser up in the sky. And it dawned on me that this whole big gamble about having two different commercial, providers to get independence from Russia is fully paying off. That decision to do that. And I know people say, oh, SpaceX, oh, they're so bad or whatever. But the reason that they chose some U.S. providers is so they could be independent from Russia. And what happened? Russia blew up their launch pad, the only one that they have to launch people, and now they can't do anything. There's usually a cargo mission with Christmas goodies around this time from Russia, and they can't do it because they don't have a pad. They might get it fixed by February. We'll have to wait and see. And then the kind of juggernaut, the leading folks, Boeing, who've been in the space game for decades upon decades upon decades, kind of fell apart on that last mile, and that's one of our stories that I flagged. Is that it was this year that those astronauts came back on a SpaceX vehicle, and so it really the drive to have two different partners paid off, because if we only had one and something had happened to SpaceX, we'd be up a creek. So I just wanted to. I was thinking about that this week.
Which creek would that be?
Well, the not getting into space creek, I think. Is what
The
we'll call
Poo-Poo
it.
Creek. Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing, something that devoured that much money and that much effort, federal money, Boeing's money to some extent, just kind of rumbled into silence. I know they're still fiddling with it, but it literally feels like they're fiddling with it and not really moving with it. And one gets the impression, despite whatever claims are made, that they've pretty much written off this thing.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not.
Which is astonishing, because Boeing has been in the game since the earliest intermediate range ballistic missiles. It was in the game for the Saturn V big time. And since then, in many ways, space station, shuttle. And they just choked on this kind of. Well, it's kind of astonishing, really.
When there's more than one destination to go to, SpaceX will not be able to provide flights to all of them. At least right now.
But
let's
see. From what we're seeing, Boeing won't either. It'll have to be another company. All right, let's move along from that, because we could argue that all day. Mars Perseverance, big story of the year. Drum roll. May have found life on Mars. This is a story a few months old, but it was really one of those stop and scratch.
They're all going to be a few months old. We're looking back at the whole year.
Are you done now?
You see, this is what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Are you done?
When this story rolled out, I thought, this is the story of the new century, and it just didn't get that kind of airplay. It didn't get that kind of excitement. As I've related before, back in the 90s, I fell prey to a April Fool's joke that then domineering America Online put up a headline, "Life Found on Jupiter." Now, we know Jupiter doesn't have a hard surface except really, really, really far down at its core, but I thought maybe they mean in the clouds. I was so excited. And then about 2 hours later, I realized, crap, it's April Fool's Day. And sure enough, it took them a couple of days to admit it. I was just furious. I wrote a very strongly worded letter to Steve Case that he did not respond to. Yeah, how about me? But, this is the real deal. Now, we did have maybe a brush with this back in, I think, 2007 with Spirit, where it imaged and examined an area that looked like it could have been a fossilized microbial mat, but not a lot was made of that, and it kind of just rolled into the annals of the past. But this is a big one.
Yeah, this goes back to September of this year, and the announcement on September 10th when NASA said that the Perseverance rover had found, quote-unquote, possible biosignatures in a Mars rock that they called Chayava Falls. And what was really kind of intriguing is that they had found what they call the chemical fingerprints of these minerals called vivianite, and I'm sure I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Greigite. Well, if there's a mineralogist out there,
is there a geologist in the house?
Someone. But the whole point is that they found them in an area that they know was once a lake bed, so it's all dry. And by having this combination of minerals in this area where they know that there was water They think that it shows that there was like reactions between sediment and organic matter, and it could be a fingerprint from microbial life. They basically went as close as you can say, hey, we found some life, without saying it, because they can't be sure, because they can't touch it. They don't have the samples, which is, we're just talking about why you need those samples. But they were not going to say that they found life for sure, because they got so burned in the 90s with the ALH meteorite, you know? And so that was like so embarrassing, and they really want to make sure that it's 100%, like they understand what they're seeing. But it was really exciting, and it was a bit of a flash in the pan. I have to admit, we kind of ran that story into the ground, you know, like covering it from every single different angle that we could think of.
But you know what? You're saying we, you mean space.com.
At space.com, yeah.
But I was proud of you, impressed, whatever. I was so relieved that you did, because like we said, it was kind of roundly, quietly sort of shrugged off by everybody else. And I thought, well, thank God for space.com.
It was interesting. Well, that's kind of
unpaid promotion.
That's right. I'll pay you your $50 after the show's over, Rod.
Yeah, right.
There was the big flash. Everyone said, "Oh, they found signs of life on Mars," and then the story was over. Like it went on. Everyone moved on to the next thing. So I was really surprised too. I think we ended up running like 3 or 4 different stories about, did they really find life? No, they didn't announce that they found life, but they found this other stuff. How does it push the ball forward? It's always this incremental stuff. You know, eventually they're going to find like a little mushroom or something, and it's going to set all our brains on fire. But, but this is a really big one. And we debated doing a whole big retrospective about this one this year. So I'm glad we're talking about it now, because we actually didn't get to do that in terms of like for what we were going to do at Space for the year. So this is my favorite one. My favorite, I think, science story of the year was this Mars life potential, because it's such a clear signal, and NASA made it clear that they thought it was a big deal with a press conference that was televised and everything. So,
well, as John Grotzinger, chief scientist at the time for the Curiosity mission, when I was writing my book about Curiosity, said, we're all waiting for that dinosaur femur moment. And I have to say, Tarek, that this story about samples in layered Martian soil has me feeling very sedimental. So I guess with that, we should go to a break, and we'll be right back.
I love it.
Stand by.
Because it's a rock.
Got it. And we're back with a story that fills me with grief, woe, pain, and indigestion. Space Shuttle Discovery. Heretofore sitting peacefully at the Udvar-Hazy Center for the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., of course, as we all know, and because we're true lovers of such things, has been ordered to move back to Houston because of the big, beautiful bill and some misguided decisions by our representatives in Texas.
I like John's physical pantomime for the big, beautiful bill. No one else can see it, but it's entertaining for Rod and I. So
it's got curves. We've talked about this. You'd have to, at least if you listen to the Smithsonian experts who are very good at this kind of thing, you'd have to cut it up into 4 or 5 pieces. This would severely compromise the structure. Now, this thing's never going to fly again, but it is, as the Smithy points out, the only truly preserved in its original state without any alterations for display space shuttle, sitting on its landing gear in this hangar. Blah, blah, blah. You know, if you ever want to go back and look at it in its prime condition, because space planes are important for the future, this is it. So there's a bunch of reasons, not the least of which is Texas doesn't have enough money to do it. They've got just enough, maybe, to get the move instituted most of the way there, but they got to build a building, they got to put it back together, they got to make it nice and pretty, they got to set up a snack bar and all that kind of stuff. What the heck?
Yeah.
Enlighten us, partner.
Can you believe this was our biggest story of the entire year? This story was the most read story of our entire year. And
now,
it was
I
the
know
passage
you worry
of the,
about these things. Why do you think that is?
I think it hit a bunch of buttons for people, and not just like space fans like you and I. It was the one big beautiful bill, which people have been talking about in the summer of 2025 very prominently about either how good it was on the Republican side or how bad it was on the Democrat side. And so that was going on in the background, and I don't think you could escape like what was happening with that bill, or that it was going on. And then Ted Cruz, Senator of Texas, put in this bill a provision along with what's his name, Cronin, the other senator, John Cronin. This provision that would say, okay, as part of this bill, you will have to move a flown U.S. American spacecraft to Houston so they can have it on display. It doesn't say Space Shuttle Discovery, but he said,
we ought to send him some pieces of Pioneer 5 or something.
That's why there's a lot of wiggle room in it. The law says a flown American crewed spacecraft, but it could be any flown American crewed spacecraft that the Smithsonian has. But Cruz has been saying that he wants the space shuttle. He wants the space shuttle because, of course, Mission Control is in Houston. And so it had been going on through the whole year, ever since the passage of the bill in June and July, that this is a dumb idea. Houston had its chance. It didn't get a space shuttle, even though it did also bid for the shuttles, all four of the ones that they were talking about, Enterprise, Atlantis.
Excuse me, but it has a shuttle on a shuttle transport plane. It just isn't a flown shuttle.
Yeah.
But it's 90% of a shuttle, which is pretty good.
They have the Intrepid, I believe, right? Or the Independence. The Independence. Is it Inspiration or Independence?
I think it's Independence.
It's the one that was at the Kennedy Space Center is what I remember, because I remember going inside it.
Well, it's a mate-demate
KSC.
model, right?
And they had like access so that you could go up into the payload bay and look inside and stuff like that. And so they have that there, and it's very nice. It's mounted up on the thing, so it's very cool to see.
Yeah, it's a great show.
And so there's a big back and forth about it. The Smithsonian says if you really want it, there's no plane that we can do it. We can't put it on a barge. We'd have to cut it apart, which is true. They took the wings off. I think Endeavor, not Endeavor. They took the wings off one of them, right?
It wasn't Endeavor. Endeavor's LA, right?
No, they didn't take the wings off of any of them, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, they took the wings off of Buran.
I think they might have taken the...
Because Endeavor,
the stabilizer? No, I don't think they compromised anything. Because Endeavor, they were cutting down trees.
They cut down poles and stuff like that. Yeah. So
I was there reporting for you.
You were. I missed it.
$100 or something embarrassing.
I'm pretty sure it was at least $200, Ron. So.
I don't think it was, actually.
Oh, man. Well, it went a lot farther back then.
Your man running that department was a tough cookie.
So in the time since now, the latest is that going into the second confirmation hearing of Jared Isaacman, John Cornyn released a statement saying that he had met Jared before the confirmation hearing, and that had gotten, according to Cornyn, an assurance from Jared that they would deliver the Space Shuttle Discovery to Houston.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's really important to do a couple of things. I'm pretty sure that what Isaacman said, because this is what he has said over and over again, is that he will follow the letter of the law, whatever it dictates NASA and him to do. To do it. So that's usually as far as he has gone on this matter in the past, of saying that he'll do that, whatever he's that has to do like for the law. And so he did not come out and say, no, I didn't say this, but he also didn't say, yes, I will give you your Space Shuttle Discovery. And Cruz, who was in the confirmation hearing, did not ask Isaacman in this most recent one about Space Shuttle Discovery, which I thought was very interesting. They did not put him on the spot for that. So this will continue into the next year because, the big beautiful bill is law. They have to deliver something, and they have to start talking about it in a way. Now, it will depend on if the Smithsonian is going to push their ownership, because they say they've got full ownership of this space shuttle, that NASA or the government can't just claw it back now. And that will be true of all of them.
The documents.
Yeah, they've got the paperwork for it. They've got the receipts, man. They got the receipts. So I don't think Judge Judy would be kind to the government if they showed up in that case. So we'll have to see how it turns out over time, if they're going to claw it back or cite something back. But apparently Cornwin feels that he got some kind of confirmation from Isaacman. It's unclear what Isaacman has said, although usually he says he'll follow the letter of the law, which is whatever that law says, which is a crewed American spacecraft. And that could be anything. It could be a capsule. It could be a Dragon capsule, that kind of stuff. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Cornyn can go suck a lemon. That's what I say. Being mindful of your time commitments, Tark, pick a story. Oh, yeah. Well, here, let's just get this one out of the way because I know you're dying to do so. We found a new moon around the seventh planet. And better your seventh planet than my seventh planet.
We found a new moon around Uranus, is what Rod was going to say. So, this was a fun one. I will never.
Your idea of fun and my idea of fun are different things.
You don't think that it's fun. You think I'm being a juvenile at all?
Having had kidney stones, anything about objects and the lower regions of my body really put me off. But please continue.
Yeah.
Ooh, a drunken elf thought it was funny. How cool is that? Okay.
Yeah. No, this came up in the summer, like in August, is when scientists were using the James Webb Space Telescope to study Uranus, and they basically found a new moon, and I don't think that they named it, but it means that instead of having 28 moons, Uranus now has 29, and they basically observed Uranus like 10 different times with for an hour almost. 40 minutes at a time to do this, and they say it's a small moon, but it's a significant discovery, which I wish people would say of my moons, but over time. What's that face, John?
Wow.
So
enough about your small orbiting object.
But it was something that even the Voyager 2 spacecraft couldn't see back when they flew by 40 years ago. And I pointed this out because, first of all, it's always fun to say there's a new moon around Uranus. But also, it's just really fun. Uranus is really one of the weird...
Yeah, thank you. It's supposed to be pronounced Uranus, but
yeah, Uranus is really one of the most interesting planets in our solar system because it's so crazy. It's knocked on its side. It's got its own ring system. It's got like super fast winds, like Neptune does as well, and it just has a really wild set of moons themselves. And we haven't really studied it very much, and so finding out now 40 years after we first flew by with Voyager 2 that there's still unexplained or unexplored satellites or things to be discovered, I think is really cool. Plus it's the Webb Space Telescope, which was launched 5 years ago this month on Christmas, so a nice bit of a fitting anniversary to kind of bring up as well. So
And Hubble turned 35 this year and has been providing yeoman service ever since we got the optics corrected. And this quarter, the International Space Station is 25 years old. We've talked about it on the show, but this is a remarkable achievement in human history. It's the most complicated machine ever flown. It's the largest machine ever designed, built, or certainly flown. International effort, mostly paid for by the U.S., but a lot of people contributed and continue to contribute. 25 years is a long time for a spacecraft of any type, and its age is showing. But compared to Mir, for instance, it's done very well. I mean, the metallurgy has proved to be very superior, and there are parts of it that date back arguably to the 1980s.
Well, I would do one little correction. You said that the space station is 25 years old. The space station is actually 27 years old.
Oh, sorry.
Right, because the first bit launched in '98,
okay.
But it was 25 years ago in 2000 that that the first cruise took.
Stick this in my eye. You're right.
And of course that milestone came up during the government shutdown, so NASA couldn't even shout it from the rafters or anything like that. So
yeah, so this has been a wild, rollicking year. Next year, we are hoping, praying, counting on Mr. Isaacman to pull things together, cut the hemorrhaging, get the budget, help, do whatever we can to get a budget passed and get NASA rocking and rolling. And whatever decision is made about the lunar program, which at this point, I'd be comfortable with the second best as long as it was meaningful, i.e., sustainable and working towards a moon base. But whatever you're going to do, let's get on with it and stop mucking about.
Yeah. By the way, we should point out, this is like just a snapshot list that I threw together with Rod about our favorite stories of the year. But there were so many more that we could talk here for days.
Let's.
So send us your favorite stories of the year is the ask, right? Let us know what you think are your favorite stories of the year, and maybe we'll talk about what you want to see next year too. So
well, and I appreciate you including me in this list, but you did it, brother. Even though you were apparently at the edge of the grave. So next time you can call me and say, "Hey, I'm sick. Can you do this?" But thank you for putting it together.
I will lose all credibility if I do that after throwing a big fit about people not thinking that I could do the rundown when you were gone.
That's a good point. Let's play a little holiday message for everybody, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Pop the Herald engine sing, glory to the brand new thing. See the rockets big and grand, standing tall across the land. Polished steel and gleaming bright, ready for their Christmas flight. Oh, jingle boosters, jingle flames, shouting out their fiery names. Up they're going to the blue, Christmas wishes coming true. The cosmos swiftly sail, leaving a celestial trail. The rocket on the Christmas tree, Merry Christmas to us all.
And that's our holiday show. Thanks everybody for joining us today for episode 190, Holiday Special 2025. Tarek, my friend, my sick friend, where can we find you making toys in your chili workshop these days?
Well, a chili workshop is where you make dinner, my friend, right? For winter. That sounds good,
well said.
actually. Yeah. But no, you'll find me at space.com. As always, hopefully in California to be home for the holidays. That'll be nice. And then in 2026, going to the moon with NASA, right? Oh, so this time it's serious, right? So we'll actually do it and not have to have another one of these retrospectives where we don't go to the moon.
Well, and hopefully you and I will be doing an episode from Houston, which would be fun sometime in February if they get off the ground. But of course, as always, you can find me at pilebooks.com or at astromagazine.com or nss.org or working in my Grinchy cave above Whoville, my favorite place to hang out. Always remember, you can drop us a line at twist@twit.tv. That's TWIS@twit.tv. We welcome your comments, suggestions, and ideas, and we answer each and every email.
And space jokes. Don't forget to send those.
And don't forget to send those space jokes. So to everyone, happy holidays to all, and bah humbug from me. See you next year.
Woo! Yay! Jingle bells! Batman smells! Let's all go to space.